Hi, this is Heidi. I wanted to do a quick tour of a series of drawings I call the Egret Chronicles. My sweetheart who passed away had a nickname for me called Silly Egret. There's a long story behind that, but that's a story for another day. So after he passed, I started just doodling, and this particular drawing came out. And this is a style that I had never done before. I've never really worked with pen and ink or with markers at the time. And so this was very strange, but you see there's a rhinoceros there and an egret with his beak pointed up, and he has holes in his wings, but he's standing there in the water. There's a strange sun and a flying fish and lots of bright colors. So this is the first of the drawings. And these are just some drawings that I spontaneously started making. The second drawing is this one. And what's really interesting is a couple of things I want to point out. One is that in the egret's heart, you can see there's a keyhole. And that just is what I drew. And it becomes an integral part of the story. And what's funny is I did not consciously connect these dots. It just is the story that came out. And then here you can see in the wing, it's like a portal through, and you can see in the future that there's a key. So this is the rhinoceros and the egret, and in this story they are best friends. And then behind it you see all this beautiful color here spiraling around. That is done by this little fellow here. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Not so much, but you'll see him again later. He rides on a triangle, and he seeds the sky with stars, so he creates the universe, and he is a witness throughout this process. There are some other little creatures that also do witnessing. So the egret is never truly alone in this story. So in this story, the egret and the rhinoceros had a beautiful friendship, but the rhinoceros got sick and passed away. And the egret was horribly sad. And you can see there's arrows pointing in to a heart that's showing through the egret's wing there. He's trying to shield himself from the pain of loss. He's sitting on what might be a snail or an eye or the whole world. Just, it kind of feels like everything is broken. And yeah, the heart, then an arrow straight to the heart there. That's like a expanded of this. So, and then in the next drawing, the egret doesn't know what to do with himself, and so he goes on a quest. And here he is on the quest. And here's the guy that seeds the stars. You can see he's building a whole universe there and throwing the stars into the sky. And he knows the egret is on a quest now. And as the egret goes on his quest, he's going to find a key. And here, the key is in the water here. And this is the moment before the egret finds the key. He's facing all the arrows of the world and how hard it is, and he's standing strong and is a warrior. And he's about to find the key any second here. And this is also foreshadowing. We have the heart with the arrows coming at it again. Because what happens next, after he finds the key and then leaves, is he ends up getting hurt. And he actually drops the key. It's hard to see. It's right here under his beak. He drops it and doesn't realize he's dropped it as he's attempting to go. Again, there's a keyhole back here. This is another moment that's foreshadowing. It shows the heart and the keyhole in the heart through the wing there. So he continues on his trek, not knowing he's lost the key. And this is a moment before he shows up. And this little guy is a creature that is also a witness. You'll see he flies around from place to place with the egret and kind of follows as a friend. And then there's lots of these little guys. Sometimes they're bugs and shrimps and caterpillars and I don't know what they are, but they also witness things. And another flying fish here. But this guy is in this holy place, and here he is, the owl, the wise owl, knowing that the egret's going to come. And this is just a bit of foreshadowing as well. So here we have the egret goes to where he needs to be, and everything aligns in the universe, and the light comes in and hits the lantern. There's another fish in there, and it refracts out, or the opposite of refracts, because it comes in as a rainbow, hits and then shines as pure light and illuminates a keyhole in the middle of the sky, right where the universe is being born. And he reaches for the key and he realizes he doesn't have it. And oh my goodness, is he sad. And just here we have, in this little wing hole is the tumultuous sea, where he found the key just in time, but then the tumultuousness is about how he lost it. And this talks about being whole and not being whole, and that his heart is again the important thing in this quest. So when I drew this one, I thought that it was the last one, and I was really upset. So then I drew another one, and here he is where the owl was before. Here's those little creatures again there, and the flying key here. And here is where we start to see, actually here is where we start to see that he's actually king, that he's royalty on his quest there. And this shows how he's reminiscing about how he failed. And then you can see the heart with a keyhole in it there. And this drawing for me was really hard because just in that moment of complete loss, and just knowing it can't be changed, and you can't go back, you can't change it, you can't do anything. And so I thought it was over here, and I was upset for quite some time. And then I sat down and drew this. And again, all of this was quite the surprise to me, but here we are. And it goes this way. He's kind of leaning over because he's in the middle. He's realized he has a keyhole in his heart, and that all he really needs has been with him all along, because his friend, the key that's been flying and checking up on him, is a key, and that he's had this keyhole in his heart the whole time. So he asks the key if he's willing, and then fits it into the lock in his heart, and it fits. And here we have the guy seeding the stars, and he's here for the birth of this as well. And even if you look, there's the spirit of the rhino also there, witnessing this moment of transformation. And again, we have the fires and the egg, and so that talks about him becoming a phoenix. And blooming. This is just fish and the rose open wide. And then here we have the phoenix rising above everything here. And this is just a planet here. But the egret becomes a phoenix. And I thought that was the end. But that's not the end. So a transformation has happened, but the phoenix, the egret, I'm going to call him an egret, even though this is chapter 2, and he's a phoenix now. He's lost. His quest is over, and he was able to realize that even though it seemed like he failed, he was able to realize the resources were within him, and he transforms into this phoenix. But he feels, his heart feels heavy. So here the heart is tethered and aflame because of the phoenix birth, but looming above him, and he's feeling lost and just really so small and doesn't know what to do. So, so he embarks on another quest, and here's more of his key friends, and it's hot, and the sun is looming down and beating down, and it's so hot, and he's lost his paddle, and he's paddling with his, with his wings, and he realizes that again, there's that heart, again, back to the heart, and he realizes what he needs to do. So he begins to make some choices, and here's the keys again, and he's pushing the clouds, and he still feels like he's purposeless, but he's mulling over and thinking about how can he feel more whole. And it's dizzying dealing with grief. It's dizzying, but here we have a star that's falling that is again some of that positive foreshadowing, and his heart here, and the keys waiting back at his boat to continue. And even in the middle of searching and feeling lost and grief, there are moments of brilliance and magnificence, and this is one of them. Just all the beautiful small creatures in the gorgeous light of the sun, and so many things, being born, all the stars in the universe, and all the life that's all around. This is one of those moments, and here he has his heart on his sleeve because he's there and fully present to just, even in the middle of grief, some beauty and some resource. And so he realizes he needs to go and find the heart pieces, kind of collecting heart shards that when his heart was broken, reclaiming that and sifting through it. And this is the action of reclaiming that. A lot of thoughtfulness and sitting with, reminiscing on what happened in the past when he was hurt, and knowing that there's life and beauty, and again thinking about the past, but coming to rescue himself and become whole again. And moments of struggle, here he is, he's stuck. How do you get down? And there's eels below, and goodness, it can be tough. But finding those pieces of himself, finding them, and this is one of my favorite ones because this one goes with the next one. Here he's found this beautiful, brilliant heart piece, and it's so shining and so vivid, and he's able to retrieve it. And when he does, he puts it in his heart, and the light comes down and refracts from his heart and projects the memory of the rhino there. Here's the rhino, and the memory of his heart as whole. And so honoring those pieces of our loved one and the memories that we don't have to let go of, even though the rhino has passed on. He knows that the rhinoceros is still there with him, and in his heart always. So again, the key is still watching. So he takes courage in that, and goes spelunking deep into a cave to rescue another piece. And we have pools, which talk about reflecting, you know, in the depths of ourselves. And here's more of those little creatures. And here we have some chrysalises, chrysalis. I don't know the plural of chrysalis. But here they are hanging down, and he's traversing what he needs to and reflecting and picking up those pieces of himself so that he can be whole. And each time, you know, he reconnects with a piece, there is joy and celebration. And here the whole universe is celebrating with falling stars and just all that joy in that moment of reconnection. And finding more pieces, you know. And here he's traveled far, and here are all the little creatures come to witness another piece he's reclaiming. And flying fish. This is a place with 2 moons. And again, that celebration of wholeness, of reconnection, of being resourced. You know, knowing that it's day, even though it's the middle of darkness, that the light is still shining. It's just on the other side of the earth. Again, here's a keyhole being illuminated. So there are all these moments of joy and potential joy to come. That loss isn't the end, is what that talks about. Here he is again with his heart on his sleeve. This talks about healing, the healing that happens within him as he reunites all these pieces. And this is really talking about him finally blooming and blossoming. And so he goes just a little further. You know, his heart is whole again. He's back together. All the eyes, the flying eyes, they see him. He's seen. He's whole. He's complete. Pushing through the jungle and the tangled mess of what was into the potential of what can be. And so he sits down, and again, here's these little guys seeing him do this, and burns off his phoenix feathers and reclaims himself as whole, as Egret. And this is just really beautiful. I have another one of him standing up after that moment as whole as Egret, burning off his phoenix feathers. But it's still in the middle of being colored. And then the next chapter that hasn't been written yet is here's the guy who seeds the sky with stars, and here is the 3rd chapter, which is he finds a new friend. This is an anahinga, which is another type of heron. I thought that it was over when he burned off the phoenix feathers, but then I saw a picture of an anahinga on a nature channel somewhere, and had to draw this. And so the anahinga and he will meet, and new friendships will be born. So throughout the process of grief, the egret is never alone. And throughout the process of grief, you know, it really talks about that the resources we have are there with us, that the universe and the divine is holding and watching, and that it's just so funny to me that he had the lock in his heart the whole time, and was able to unlock that to find a new way to move through life. And then, you know, as I drew all those other panels of him as a phoenix, I had no idea what they meant. And it actually took me a long time to figure it out. Oh my goodness, he's going out and he's collecting pieces of his broken heart, and he's sorting through that and beginning to make sense of it, and beginning to reconnect to resources, and beginning to find his way again, and move back to a new wholeness, and then coming back to himself. So, yeah, I just shared the Egret Chronicles because I felt it really illustrated that process of sifting through the wreckage, of letting go of what you can't change, and embracing what resources you do have, and then having the courage um, to take off the mask and begin breathing again and relearn how to be yourself, which is why burning off the phoenix feathers is so powerful for me. That's a weird thing to have a character do, but it makes so much sense, just coming back to yourself, learning to be yourself again. So I hope you enjoyed that, and take care.